Hello Summoners, and welcome back to another ProGuides upcoming changes video. My name is Dan, and today I'll be going over a few upcoming changes that are going to be hitting the Rift within the coming weeks. Everything that I mention here can be found on the PBE right now or on the Riot dev boards, but please do keep in mind that nothing is set in stone, and changes can be made before these hit the live servers. However, today's video is a little bit different than our usual upcoming changes video because we'll instead be focusing on the reveal of a new champion, APHELIOS. APHELIOS is an insanely complicated champion that has dozens of different abilities, so we thought it'd be appropriate to make a video about him. In addition to that, we'll also be going over some new skins and reworks that are coming very soon. And lastly, guys, today's question of the day is, which champion would you like to see a new skin for? Personally, I want a brand new orange skin. He's a couple years old now and still only has one other skin, so he deserves another one. Let us know your answers in the comments below. And before we get started, make sure to check out ProGuides.com if you want to get better at League during the preseason. There, we have thousands of guides similar to this one, made by your favorite pro players like High, Boxbox, Bunny Fufu, and Night Blue. So don't miss out, click the link below and start getting better at League right now. With all that being said, let's jump into the video. First things first, we have a brand new visual effects rework coming for Lux in Season 10. Similar to the previous VFX reworks that Riot has made in the past, they're aiming to improve gameplay clarity for Lux this season and are changing a lot of her abilities. Firstly, they're changing her base auto-attack missile and impact animation. Next up, they're adding a more subtle effect to show the width of her Q so that the hitbox is much more accurate and crisp. Lux's E is also being revamped and cleaned to show a much better charge-up and explosion effect. Next up, her ultimate is being completely overhauled and now has an indicator line on both sides to show the actual width of the beam. This means that you'll now be able to dodge the ability much more easily because you'll know the exact range when she fires it. Lastly, there are a few minor changes coming to her passive, idle effects, and also a complete change to Steel Legion Lux, which is actually a skin that's banned in pro play for lack of clarity. Overall, I'm really happy that they decided to make these changes because it just felt like her abilities lacked the clarity that the other champions have in the current season. Next up, we have a few skins coming to the Rift next patch. First up, we have this cool looking Dawnbringer Karma. Then we have this beautiful Dawnbringer Nidalee skin. Then lastly for this skin line, we got this majestic Dawnbringer Soraka skin. Now on to the other skin line, we have Nightbringer Lee Sin and Prestige Edition Nightbringer Lee Sin. Then we got Nightbringer Vladimir, and last, we have Nightbringer Soraka. For the third skin line, we also have Sugar Rush Braum, then Sugar Rush Evelynn. Next up, we got Sugar Ziggs, and lastly, Sugar Rush Zillion. And lastly, we have another pricey Hextech skin coming out for Swain. I can't wait till these skins hit the Rift because I've been having a lot of fun with Nidalee and Lee Sin lately, and I'm dying to try these out. And one last thing before we jump into the APHELIOS reveal, we have a sneak peek at the new event that's coming very soon. The event is called Night and Dawn, and it displays what appears to be two new skins, one that is red and one that is blue. Let us know your thoughts about what you think this is in the comments down below. Now, let's talk about APHELIOS. APHELIOS is one of the trickiest and most complex champions that Riot has ever released. We highly recommend that you watch till the very end so you can fully understand his kit and what he does. So basically, APHELIOS cycles through 5 different weapons, and each of them have their own basic attacks. He attacks with his main hand weapon, but always carries an offhand weapon he can swap to by using his W. APHELIOS can't pick and choose which 2 weapons he equips at any given time. His weapons have 50 ammo called Moonlight, and when a weapon runs empty, you get the next one in line. Empty weapons go to the end of the line to recharge. Since APHELIOS can swap between his main hand and offhand, weapon order changes throughout the game based on which weapons you use first. Now, let's break down his abilities. APHELIOS only has 3 buttons, which are Q, W, and R, instead of the traditional 4 that most champions have. This means that he will put his other skill points into his stats, which are attack damage, attack speed, or armor pen. His W swaps between his main and offhand weapons, leaving him with 2 actual abilities. Each of APHELIOS' 5 weapons has its own Q ability when equipped as his main hand weapon. On top of that, each Q applies bonus attacks and effects based on his offhand weapon. All 5 Q abilities cost mana and ammo, and they each have their own cooldown. However, you can use your Q, then swap weapons to use your Q again. APHELIOS automatically learns Q at level 2, and it slowly becomes stronger over the course of the game. Now that his basic playstyle summary is out of the way, let's talk about all 5 weapons. The first weapon is called Calibrum the Rifle. Calibrum is a poke and harass weapon. The basic attacks on this rifle has extra range, and each of his abilities marks the enemies who get hit by this weapon. APHELIOS can right-click marked enemies anywhere on the map to follow up with a basic attack from his offhand weapon. The attack detonates other nearby marks for bonus damage against the marked target. The Q ability with Calibrum is called Moonshot. This fires a skill shot that damages the first unit hit and marks them. The ultimate ability with Calibrum basically makes your follow-up auto attacks mark all enemies hit and each deal higher damage when consumed. So basically, this weapon has a long-ranged poke/DPS playstyle. Its passive gives you bonus range, and you want to choose this weapon when you want to play like an AD carry or top lane ranged bully. When you hit an enemy with an ability, they get something similar to a Rise E mark. Once you consume this mark, it deals bonus damage. Next up, we have Severum, the Scythe Pistol. Severum is a sustain weapon that heals APHELIOS for a portion of the damage it deals. Overhealing from Severum is converted into a small shield. The Q ability with Severum is called Onslaught. This lets you gain movement speed and rapidly fire your main hand and offhand weapons at the nearest enemy, prioritizing champions. Onslaught shots behave like basic attacks but deal reduced damage. The ultimate ability with Severum gives APHELIOS a flat heal. So to make this simple, Severum is basically like the Bloodline rune combined with Overheal. Its passive lets you fire your main and offhand weapon, while also having several different ways to heal and damage characters. The third APHELIOS weapon is called Gravitum, the Cannon. Gravitum is a utility weapon that applies a decaying slow to enemies. The Q ability on Gravitum damages and roots all enemies on the map affected by Gravitum's slow. The ability doesn't use APHELIOS' offhand weapon. The ultimate ability with Gravitum makes your follow-up attacks apply a massively increased slow. The fourth APHELIOS weapon is called Infernum, the Flamethrower. Infernum is an AoE wave clear weapon that deals increased basic attack and ability damage and creates a damage cone behind enemies hit. The Q ability for Infernum lets you sprout a wave of flame, damaging enemies and then basic attack all enemies hit with your offhand weapon. The ultimate ability with Infernum makes your follow-up attacks create damage circles around enemies hit instead of damage cones behind them. And lastly, we have his final weapon called Crescendum the Chakram. Crescendum is a close-range DPS weapon that behaves like a boomerang. Okay, boomer. Once APHELIOS basic attacks with Crescendum, he can't attack again until it returns to him, but his attack resets when it does. Attack speed increases the travel speed instead of his attack speed. The closer APHELIOS is to his target, the less distance Crescendum has to travel and the faster he can attack. When abilities or their follow-up attacks deal damage with Crescendum, they create temporary copies of it for each enemy hit that increases the strength of Crescendum's basic attacks. The Q ability with Crescendum lets you deploy a turret that shoots the nearest target with your offhand weapon, kinda like a mini Heimerdinger. Then the ultimate with his ability lets your follow-up attacks increase the damage of your basic attacks if less than 3 enemies are hit. That should cover his entire kit, but wow, I'm actually speechless at how overloaded this champion is. Do you remember a few years ago when we had champions like Cassiopeia be released and her passive was as simple as one sentence? It literally says, Cass gains movement speed per level, but she cannot purchase boots items. Now we got champions like APHELIOS who have a 7-page essay for his passive. But let's look on the bright side. The original design for APHELIOS was to give him 25 weapons instead of 5. Now that would literally be the most overloaded kit that you've ever seen. I mean, take a look at him right now. He literally has more abilities packed into one weapon than Udyr has in his entire kit. But one thing that I will have to credit Riot about is the design of this champion. The playstyle is very unique and the theme of his character is very appealing. These edgy and high mechanical ceiling champions are usually very popular but also extremely overpowered. But unlike the other champions from that roster, APHELIOS will be an AD carry, so he'll be played in the bottom lane. I want to know your guys' thoughts about this champion in the comments down below. Do you think he'll be balanced? Which skins do you think will look good on him? And how many skins do you think he'll receive before Ornn gets his first one outside of release? Also, one last thing before we end the video. APHELIOS' lore does state that he had a twin named ALUNE. ALUNE and APHELIOS are both Lunari assassins who find no pleasure in killing but does it anyways. They are originally from Mount Targon and are somewhat connected to Diana. APHELIOS and ALUNE are both twins who were both born during a rare celestial event. The moon in Runeterra has an orbit, and the moon in the spirit realm reflects that. Every once in a while there's a convergence, and the magic gifted to those born during it is incredible among the Lunari. ALUNE spent her life training to be an oracle to harness the moon's magical light to reveal hidden truths and pathways, whereas APHELIOS trained to eliminate any who would do the Lunari harm. Could this little backstory mean that ALUNE is also a new champion that will hit the Rift sometime soon? I think it'd be pretty cool to have her as a new support champ because her lore will fit the playstyle perfectly. And come on guys, take a look at her. She just looks so awesome. Anyways, that's going to be it for our upcoming changes video for Season 10. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please hit that like, comment, and subscribe button to be notified of our next video. Also, make sure to check out ProGuides.com if you want to see huge improvements in your rank. That's all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you out on the Rift.